this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed.
The splendor of the pyramids, beneath the scorching desert sun, was no longer merely a reflection of power. It had become the tomb of a generation's collective memory, a generation unwilling to accept that even a pharaoh dies, and with him, order itself. After the fall of the Old Kingdom, the pharaoh was no longer the embodiment of gods, but a trembling shadow cast upon the ruins of the people's faith. The age in which stone and gold spoke the language of power now crumbled silently beneath the wandering feet of despairing generations. The system forged in the name of the gods and by the hands of priests collapsed like a temple without pillars. The absence of central power turned Egypt into a shattered stage of impotent princes, greedy provincial lords, and self-serving priests, each seeking to wear the pharaoh's crown without ever seeing themselves in the mirror of the nation. For generations, Egypt drowned in the grayness of political fragmentation, economic decay, and spiritual confusion. The peasants had nothing left to lose but a hope that even the Nile could no longer water. The local nobles collected taxes without protection, and the temples, once sanctuaries of holiness and wisdom, became mere stalls where faith was traded for copper coins. From that age, inscriptions remain voices that spoke of an inverted world where slaves acted as masters, and gods had turned into silent shadows. An age when people no longer prayed, but grew weary of divine wrath, for their gods had either died or fled the earth. Yet, from within this darkness, a voice rose from the south, not of the sword, but of unity, law, and the rediscovery of order. In Thebes, a city whose temples still endured under the shadow of the Nile, an heir of royal blood emerged. His name was Mentuhotep, and with eyes deeper than the river and a voice gentler than the wind. He came to raise Egypt once again upon its feet. He was no prophet, no poet, but a ruler who understood that power without justice and wisdom ends only in death and decay. Amid blood and war, he restored peace. With a structured army and a systematic vision, he freed Upper and Lower Egypt from the chains of local aristocracy. Yet Mentuhotep ruled not only over lands, he sought to reign over hearts. He restored the temples, not with gold, but with faith. He ordered the rebirth of bureaucracy, reopened schools, and brought art and wisdom out of the shadows. In his reign, Egypt learned once again that between gods and men, there are bridges made not of stone, but of reason and justice. Temples began to inscribe not only divine exaggerations, but the voices of ordinary people. Not only the pharaoh, but the farmer and worker too could attain immortality if their lives were built upon truth, decency, and Ma. The Middle Kingdom may not rival the architectural grandeur of the Old Kingdom or the military triumphs of the New, yet it became the beating heart of Egyptian civilization in ethics, culture, and spirituality. In this era, Maat was no longer merely the goddess of cosmic balance, but the foundation of individual and social morality. For the first time, the idea of afterlife judgment entered the public consciousness. People now hoped for salvation not through status, but through conduct. The Book of the Dead spread widely, portraying the soul's journey through the afterlife and prayers that served as spiritual defense. In art, faces became more human and realistic. Princes were depicted with lines of worry and contemplation, not as divine beings, but as thoughtful mortals. Sculptures aimed less for grandeur and more for truth, Tomb paintings shifted from war and conquest toward agriculture, family peace, and the simple joy of life. Meanwhile, literature flourished. The teachings of Ptahhotep carried earthly wisdom like a pearl flowing through the Nile: humility, honesty, listening, and self-awareness. Here, man was no longer a shadow of the gods, but a conscious actor upon the stage of existence. This era marked the dawn of a new moral philosophy, the belief in justice after death. Kingship was no longer the sole path to eternity. If one held Maat in his heart, he could embrace the gods. If not, even the golden crown could not save his soul from the eternal scales. Egypt had awakened once again, not through rebellion, but through reason. If the Old Kingdom left pyramids and stone, the Middle Kingdom created pens, thought, and ethics. Yet what lifted Egypt to its height was neither order nor peace, but its unquenchable desire for greatness.